You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years. Hello, everyone. Alan Gingrich here. I'm flying solo today, but I'm the Director of Hunting Ops at United Kennel Club. And today I'm going to talk about the Don Sr. McVay Memorial that's held the weekend following Labor Day each year. The McVay Memorial is one of the Big Five events in UKC's Hunting Beagle format. The Big Five, the Eliminator kicks it off in February, the first of the Big Five in February. NHBA date makes up number 2, which is held in March. And then in April, we have the UKC Nationals. And then we drop down to September with the McVay Memorial is number 4 on the list of the Big Five, and then it ends with the World Championship. So those are the Big Five, and the McVay is sandwiched right there, the first one in the fall of in September there. So after a long week at Autumn Oaks on Labor Day weekend, where we had a lot of staff there this year, we had a great event there. We had on the previous couple of episodes, you heard all the Autumn Oaks excitement and everything there, but it's those are exhausting events for a week-long event after that. So I always enjoy the next week to go to this McVay Memorial. It happens every year, and sometimes I even get the chance to hunt a dog in it, but not this year. I just did not have a dog conditioned for it, and so I just went there, relaxed, and hung out at the headquarters all weekend. And enjoyed myself, really did. But this event started on Thursday and then ends on Sunday with a 16-dog championship. But this event is far more than just a hunt. They have a huge raffle on Saturday evening, and that raffle seems to grow larger every year. This year, they had a grand total of about $65,000 worth of items. Just crazy how many nice items. I'm talking big-ticket items. Their big ticket item this year was a Ranger side-by-side. So I don't know what the value on that was. I want to say, I can't even say what it was. It was a nice unit for sure. But there's just a lot of nice prizes like that. But the McVay family is made up of 5 boys. They had no girls, all boys, and most of them are hunters. But outside of the hunt and the raffles, and more importantly, this event honors and remembers and celebrates their father, Mr. Don McVay Sr. He was an avid coon hunter and a beagler, and he was a staple in the early years of the UKC Hunting Beagle format. But after casts were drawn and sent to the field on Saturday morning, I gathered up the McVays there, and all those who were there at the time. Two of the boys weren't there, I guess. But I sat down with them to learn a little bit more about them and this special event from their perspective. So I think this time is a good time to listen into that, and let's take a listen here. Well, good morning, good folks. We're sitting here at the McVay Memorial on Saturday morning. I have Donnie. How are you doing this morning?
Great.
Good. Veda, you're also here. How are you doing this morning, man?
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm grateful for all the hunters that's come today.
Good little crowd again this morning, right?
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, then we have Danny here. Danny?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Yeah, we played a little guitar yesterday. That was fun.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And then we also have Dave here.
Yeah, hello, Alan. Glad to have you.
Yeah, so I've got not the whole family, but a big part of them, I guess. But let's start here a little bit with let's talk about who are the McVays and the McVay Memorial. Why are we having this event?
It's in memory of my husband, Donald McVay Sr., and we've had a real good run with this since he passed away in 2002.
Yeah, it's I think you would be proud. I didn't know your dad like you knew who he was. You know, when I started beagling and everything, I remember you guys coming to the events, and I knew who he was, but I would think he would be pretty proud of what's happened here.
I am very proud. These boys, Donnie and Dave, have took and made their dad's dream come true.
Yeah.
We have several world champions, grand champions. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, one of my moments, Alan, this is Donnie, and one of my moments was yesterday. I was fortunate to be able to judge the bench show, and I tried to think of Dad was always judging it, and Dad was big on the bench show. He was always working with kids and older adults that needed help. He was always there. So it was a proud moment for me yesterday to be able to judge a bench show.
Yeah, well, I know you've talked about that before. I had you about a year ago. I had you, Donnie, and Dave on the podcast at the United Kennel Club there in the studio, and you talked about some of that stuff. And he was a true. He believed in good conformation in dogs.
Yeah. What was he saying, Dave? It's always you can feed a good. Yeah.
It doesn't cost any more to feed a good-looking dog as it does an ugly one.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your first memories of hunting with your dad?
Well, Dad started out coon hunting. Yeah, we coon hunted a lot, and then he got into the Beagles, and had a lot of good show dogs in the Beagles, and Donnie and Dave kind of took off after that, and it's made it what it is today.
Yeah. And Danny, you were the oldest in the family, right?
No,
you're
Donnie
not.
is.
Donnie's
Thank
the oldest.
you,
Okay.
thank you.
Everybody says that, you know.
Okay, well,
You got me again, Alan.
hey, I'm not sure how to respond to that. I'm not sure what I should.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay.
Give him
For
a
some reason,
quarter. He
hey,
must have bought you something.
For some reason, I thought you were the oldest, so
no,
I apologize.
No, actually, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, I know Donnie and Dave hunted and Dick did as well, but you never competed as much, Danny, did you, like the other boys? Or did you
I
some?
competed in the coonhounds,
Okay.
but not the big old dogs. Like,
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
back
yeah.
in the day.
Yeah. So what are some of your early memories of just rabbit hunting or going to trials? What was it that you boys liked the most about hunting with your dad? Was it just rabbit hunting or going to trials with him? Or both?
Well, I'll tell you what, my dad he was my dad, but he's also, we did a lot of things together, probably more than anybody else did. But the thing about it is, the point we was always looking at dogs, and money was never an object if we found the right dog.
Yeah.
And Dad was really about that. And then he always told me, he says, and it was hard for Dave when he came about, but Dad always said that if I wasn't much of a breeder, if I couldn't breed another good dog. And he sold, I can remember when we sold Mark V King, the Sundown Mark V King, I was at Kilbuck, and I came in from the hunt, placed second in the hunt, and Dad said, "You hand your leash to Lee Alexander." That was a big letdown, but that was my dad's honor that we should be able to. And we've been very fortunate. So I just needed a professional handler, and I had to get him out of softball playing. But when Dave came about, we made a great team because I could work dogs and breed dogs, and Dave would go in competition, and we really did have we've had a great ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Alan, I'd say some of my early memories is, about every Thanksgiving morning, we go rabbit hunting. All of us take the 5 boys, and away we'd go. And so, that, and then he was a huge coon hunter. Not so much competition, mostly pleasure hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't care what color the dog was, as long as it could tree a coon and do it right. He was real big about that. Like Donnie said, he wouldn't shy away from a good dog and have to pay for a good dog. So later, when Danny really got involved, he really kind of specialized the show part.
Mm-hmm.
He really enjoyed that. And he kind of took a liking to the black and tans. And so we were really big on black and tans. And I know Danny competed pretty heavily with the show circuit.
Yeah, yesterday, Danny, speaking of that, yesterday you had asked me about a dog. If I have my computer here, and you asked me, we were looking up a dog named Queen.
Yep, Sundown Queen.
Sundown Queen, you handled that dog some, I guess.
Oh, yes, I owned that dog.
A black and tan
She
female.
was a 5-state champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it turns out we couldn't find her in the system, and we kind of came to the conclusion that her time was probably before UKC moved everything over to computerized stuff, which was around 1983, 84, I think.
Yeah,
So-
that'd be right.
Yeah. So it would have been.
I had her in a book, Full Cry, 1982. So it had to be back in that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a joke, does that make him still makes him the oldest? Out of us boys?
You're funny.
So getting back on topic,
Yeah.
we took in that kind of transition from that coonhound side over to where, you know, his health started declining and he decided to buy some mules.
Mm.
And he actually coon hunted off of mules there for a couple of years. And now bought those mules and they jumped the fences and do everything for him. And we did that for, like, say, a couple of years. Then finally, Mom had to put her foot down, say no more in the woods at night. You don't need to be out there.
Oh boy.
And that kind of led us to the Beagles.
Yeah.
We always had Beagles, but we just kind of, you know, that kind of took him to Beagles when, you know, Dad thought he ruled the roost, but when Mom said enough was enough, it
Yeah.
was time to go to Beagles.
Yeah, but Mom always was told when they come home with a truckload of dogs, oh, they give them to us. I said, do I look like I have stupid across the top of my head? I knew that when he found a good dog, he was buying it.
That's an age-old hunter's deal right there. Tell
Yeah.
Mom or the wife that,
As
you know.
long as he was happy, I was happy.
Yeah.
So we took care of him. When
Yeah.
he got where he couldn't do it,
Yeah.
I took the dogs
Yeah.
down the pen,
Yeah.
run them for him, and he'd sit up there and say, down there, Mom, down, going down there, get it. And the rabbit went this way. And
Yeah.
feel, you know, just starter pen full of puppies. I miss that so much.
Yeah. Yeah. All boys, Veda.
5 boys. Donnie or Dick, he's coming later.
Yeah.
Denny, he had to work, so he couldn't come down from Canton. So nowadays, your work's more important. You know, you got to be there. So.
I'm sure you have a lot of fond memories from those old days back then with
Oh yes, they
did
we
you make
kept
them
'em-
wash dishes and stuff like that though?
would help. They would help when
That's-
you know.
Yeah.
But I have to give all 5 of them credit because Dad and I worked hard, you
Yeah.
know, and we had filling stations and I'd be helping them. But we had an intercom, and if one of them got out of whack, somebody was right there.
Yeah.
We wasn't that far away, you know. So,
Yeah.
and they got big enough to take Mom's place. Well, then that was kind of hard, but.
So since we're talking about that, I want to back up a little further. But where did you and Donnie meet, or Don Senior meet?
Well, down on Main Street in Coshocton.
Yeah.
Back in them days, they rode their, you know, cars up and down
Cruising?
the street.
Cruising?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he went into a restaurant, and of course he ran into my sister. And he said, I want to know who that girl is back there. And we got together there.
Yeah.
And yep, we were married 45 and a half years.
So at that time, he was already hunting with dogs and had dogs at that time.
He had a little small beagle that
Yeah.
he run.
Yeah.
And she got into a hole, and you know, and they got a bunch of guys, and they dug her out. She was just a little 13-inch beagle,
Yeah.
and so we kind of had her around for a while.
So what about you? Were you familiar with dogs at that point, or
Oh,
is that
yeah.
something that you did?
Yeah, I
Or
like
that
to go
you-
with him hunting, and
But before Don came around, did you?
no,
were
not
you,
too much. You know,
You
our
didn't know
dad-
much about hunting or dogs.
Well, my dad hunted with
Okay.
beagle dogs, you know, back years ago. But
Okay.
that's way back
yeah.
in my day. But
Yeah.
always been around animals. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't change it.
Yeah. Those were definitely different days, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere my age, I probably fit in somewhere in there, but you know, some of those
Yeah.
were just different times.
And we
Sometimes
always
you
had
hunted to
animals
eat.
around.
Yeah, you did.
You know?
Hunted, you're right. You did hunt to eat.
Uh, we, you know, I'm from a family. We 6 kids, 5 girls and 1 boy, and we always had animals in 4-H. Showed in 4-H for years.
Yeah.
I had a little Jersey calf,
Yeah.
and broke my heart when they sold her.
Yeah. Hey, we'll get into this hunting stuff here in a little bit. So, boys, just hang with me while we got Veda here. I do have some questions for her too.
Okay.
A little off topic, but still related here. But some of the boys play music and stuff. Where did all that come in? Do you remember those?
Their dad.
I've sat here at this hunt and we talked about it a little bit. You've told me some stories about going on the road, taking the boys on the road, playing music.
Yep.
Can you touch on that a little bit?
Well, it started out Donnie with his two little boys. What was you? And it was Donnie and Danny and Denny. Dick played drums,
Oh yeah,
and that started it. Now Dave, he
was playing ball or something.
He runs sound. He runs sound for a little bit.
He ran sound. Okay.
But then he decided, nope, he was going to go play ball and have these little league teams.
Yeah.
And he done real good in that respect. But if they needed him,
The more we
he
get to
done.
know Dave, it looks like you were kind of the oddball in the family.
Yeah.
But they all played music from
Yeah.
their dad played music.
Oh,
He
yeah.
played around
He
in
did.
different
He played
places. and,
yeah.
And when they got big enough to put something in their hand like spoons,
Yeah.
I can remember them sitting with two spoons,
Yeah.
clicking right along with the music.
Well, I know a couple of years ago when you were telling me some of those stories, that was really interesting to me. You were talking about taking the boys around and playing. And stuff.
Well, Dick, he wanted to play drums, and and all the band teacher says you can't play drums. Well, he did play drums. He
Yeah.
was good. He is a good drummer.
Growing up, our house was the place to be. I mean, it just seemed like the neighbors, family, friends, they all congregated at our house.
Yeah.
Saturday night at our house growing up they were playing music.
Mhm.
Way before these guys got to playing music, we grew up in it. I mean, it was just, you have that one house where everybody just kind of congregates without an invitation.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of was our house growing up.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, that whole thing is kind of, must be in the blood or something. I know Donnie, your boy Timmy, he played with us or played for our crowd at Autumn Oaks just last week.
Yeah, Timmy's did real well, and Ryan has too. They
Timmy
both-
and Ryan. Yeah.
They've done real well in the music field.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
But I had a story. Somebody told me the other day that they remember my dad sitting, took a guitar, and this reminded me of you a little bit, Alan. Not that you would go do this, but you would have no problem just taking your guitar and pulling it out and start singing. And my dad could do that just very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked with Timmy a lot coming up through, and he was always there when we needed him in the music field, whether we needed a drum or we needed a guitar or whatever we needed. If he could work it around where he could get it, we was never without.
Yeah.
in that field.
Yeah. So, do you boys remember some of the dogs that you thought were really good back when you were kids? Some dogs that you had that were, hey, Joe, he's the Danny. You were Red. What was Red?
Red was a
Collie, red bone mix.
Yeah, he was.
So you're talking coonhounds again,
Yeah.
coon hunting again.
Yeah,
That was his dog.
that was his dog.
Oh
And
yeah.
Brown.
Brown.
Brown was another one.
Yeah, Brown was another.
But those are coonhounds that we grew up with that, their dad owned a service station.
Yep.
So, dad and mom, but, so all us boys grew up in the service station, and part of that is people coming in to get their gas, they visit, and a lot of them were coonhound guys, It was nothing for dad to say, well, let's load them up.
Yeah.
Let's load them up and go see tonight, and we'd have a blast doing it. I mean, a lot of family and friends, and the boy, when he cut him loose, he liked that dog. It was all business, and we hunted. I know growing up, we hunted one particular farm. It was several hundred acres. I mean, we had multiple places to hunt, obviously, but there was times we'd go to that one farm 4 or 5 times a week and get 5-6 coon a night, and it never seemed to run out.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it just, because we'd go to this part of the farm and we would hunt maybe 20, 30 acres of it that night. They just go, his dogs weren't just fly through the country.
Yeah.
There was times we didn't have to go far, but when we did have to walk far, we was all like drawing stalls. Who's going to go?
Yeah.
One of the things too, Alan, is it always seemed like Dad kept us busy. We didn't have time to go out here and get in trouble like a lot of the kids did today. He always kept us busy. I don't know, we had horses, and Dad had a horse that he raced out on the racetrack, And it was always constant. You get off the school bus, you was going up and riding horses till getting them conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one time he had, Mom might correct me on this, I think he had 50 head of horses at one time. And some of them was tame and some of them's not. I think I got a few marks on my back where I've been thrown off. And stuff. But anyways, he was always involved. And if we had, somebody had something going on in the community, Dad was involved in it. I can remember him taking groceries out at Christmas time and taking them to the families and giving them food and stuff like that. And I tried to live up to those standards today, and it's really tough with the way the community is today and what's going on. And that's why I kind of look at this hunt as a part we're giving back to the hunters. And Dad would be gleaming from head to toe from
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
If I could say one thing, Alan, this hunt, do you see them little kids out there trying to show?
Yeah,
My dad's right beside him,
yeah. He would have loved that.
showing them.
Yeah, I think
I'm telling you, and Davis did a wonderful job when he brings these little ones up for drawing tickets and having the guys, take care of them kids, drawed your ticket.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about.
yeah.
That's my dad.
Mm-hmm.
That is my dad up and down.
Yeah,
Because he'd give you a shirt off of your back, if he had to
Yeah.
help you out.
yeah.
So,
So when he started competing, was he competing with his dogs and beagles? That's kind of the beagle part of it anyways. I'm sure you boys kind of remember that. Were you already kind of involved at the time he started, or did you go with him to those? Or when he started, was that kind of a thing that he was doing only?
I guess that would be my question. Yes, I went with Dad. We had dogs, and I kept telling Dad, we got dogs that can compete. And he said, well, let me make a few connections. And I believe Todd Morgan was the person who was in charge then. And Todd had knew Dad. And next thing I know, he was saying, hey, Donnie, we're going to hunt this weekend in St. Louisville. So we started that.
Yeah.
And then just acquiring different dogs to get where we needed to be.
Yeah, I think too, probably the best comparison I can give lately to the people listening is our dad was a lot like Coy Stacy. We would pull in as a group. Us boys ran the dogs. Dad just kind of masterminded. He would go if he had to go, just like Coy did before he passed. If he had to take a cast out, Coy went. But if us boys were running, he'd just soon set back and hey, talk to us when we get back and whatever. Now, Donnie done it a whole lot longer than I did. He ran several different registries. I kind of come on late when he wasn't able to go as much. But I know when he was laying in the hospital, if I didn't call him on my way home, if I wasn't his first call and you had to give him, it usually take you an hour. You could run the cast quicker than you could tell him about the cast because he wanted to know every little detail.
Yeah.
I mean, that was his thing. He wanted to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a lot of fun. It gave that perspective back to him because he truly lived it.
Yeah. So back in those days, there were also a lot of plaques and trophies and stuff, and you probably had to put those and organize those at the house somewhere, Veda.
I remember, when he was proud of this, and Dave will have to tell you the same thing because he gave Jay a little bitty pup.
Mm-hmm.
We put it in the starter pen. Dave, you want to finish that?
Yeah. That I think we've heard this on some other podcasts and stuff, but
She's talking about your son, though.
Yes,
Jay.
he gave my son a pup. He went down, spent a few days during summer break at school, and they ran her in the pen and ended up, Dad gave Jay that dog. And that dog ended up being Sundown Tess.
Mm.
Jay named her. So that was kind of his introduction and actually what pushed me into competing heavily.
Mm-hmm.
In transitioning from playing ball over to that.
Yeah.
Because Jay, he took an interest and then we was just like, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it to the best of our ability and the way we went. So, but,
Well, Donnie, I know you want to say something, but if you can hold that thought for just a second, you mentioned Sundown Tess. Tess wasn't just any dog. This puppy
Yeah.
that Grandpa gave Jay, that was Tess. Tess wasn't just any dog. She was a twice a world champion, and a big name in the McVay kennels
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
and in the
huge.
sport. Yeah,
Huge.
yeah. Go ahead, Donnie.
I want to get back to the trophies. Our club, the Coshocton County Beagle Club, has got a thing in the rules, bylaws that you have to give trophies, and that's because
Oh yeah.
my dad would go and take his trophies and move them out in the living room, and Mom would be cleaning and take them back in the other room. And the next day, my dad would have them all carried back out and put out there. One of the big things my dad wanted to do in the Beagle world was to see the world trophies. And I'm fortunate enough that me and Dave's done real well at going.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, yes, trophies was a big deal to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to bring back hardware, boys.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, let's talk a little bit about some of the, just for those folks that might not know, some of the dogs that you guys had. But let's talk specifically about some of the dogs that your dad maybe was most proud of.
Beagles. Donnie, I'll let you take off with that because Donnie ran with him in the early stages of the Beagles. Of course, I know him, but Donnie
You mentioned Ace, or
Yeah.
King, I guess.
King was one of them.
Ended up being a world champion after Alexander had him.
Correct.
I guess.
Very correct. And also there was Big Red Owl, Brown House Red Owl was one that Dick had dealings with Dad, and Dad had there for a good while. And then one of the other ones we bought 3 puppies off of Richard King. And that was Sundown Mark V King and Sean's Mark V Ace and Sundown Brandy. And we made a lot of good crosses with Brandy, and all 3 of them was great dogs. I can remember Ace was probably one of the hardest brush dogs I ever seen. He didn't hunt away from you, he hunted with you. And he just was in all the brush piles. But those was starts of things we looked for, and then we continued in the Ace and whole line heavily. If you go back and look at our pedigrees, and then we decided, well, we need to change the conformation. It was and the Mark V Ace whole line. So we went out and talked to Hal Davis, and we ended up purchasing Strongbow chip off the block, and then we found a couple other bitches that we liked in that line, so we could bring our bales back. And then it was just constantly trying to correct the conformation, and you just can't do it overnight. So it took but he was big in that conformation. But but those are some of the dogs that I worked with him with when he was living, and I never will forget was one breeding that I searched in the book and I wanted, and so he found it, and
Yeah.
it was nothing. The next day it was there. So, but
Alan, we both had Dogtra Pathfinder 2s now for a little while. What do you think about yours?
I'm liking mine. One of the things I had the opportunity to now download a map of an area where I did not have service, and I've used it there, and it has worked flawlessly. I love it.
Yeah, I love the crystal clear maps. I love that I never lose reception on my dog's collars anymore. Highly recommended by me as well.
Dogtra Pathfinder 2, the official GPS collar of UKC. So I know you boys have had a lot of success, with your Beagles, won some world championships, some other major events and some national events and things like that. But you had Tess, obviously you had Gage 8, Willie Brown, and some other dogs like that. But what year did Don Sr. pass?
He died March 18th of 2002.
Okay, 2002. So at that point, what were some of the successes that he saw that you boys had at that point? Most of the wins actually came. Well, Tess would have already won.
No,
She had.
She was young. I was actually just getting on the circuit pretty good with her. And I believe I won the challenge series back when we had the pedigree
There you go.
challenge series.
Yep.
She won the pedigree challenge series for the junior female division. And I was able to win that before he passed. But she won the world afterwards.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
And the World Hunting Beagle title after that. And then the World Performance Pack title come the year after.
Yeah.
Hunting Beagle.
Well, so that kind of sets it up. You know, you had a lot of successes and won a lot with the dogs that you had up till that point. But I can only imagine how proud he would have been of you boys, of the success that of something that he brought you up and taught you, and that you took it as far and had as much success as you did.
You know, I think he would have been extremely proud of what we've accomplished.
Yeah.
Oh, my, yes.
But I think, knowing our dad, I think all of us will say that as many titles as we've been blessed to have accomplished, he would be most proud of what we're doing this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, hey, that's a good way to segue into this weekend, the McVay Memorial event here. How did you come about? How did you decide, or what was that like? What did it look like, you deciding to have this event?
Well, that all
Was
actually,
Mom involved with that?
Well,
Probably at some point you had to go to Mom.
well, yeah, but a little later though. Actually, to be honest with you, this event started with our brother Dick.
Okay.
Our brother Dick, in the Coshocton County Beagle Club, Dick came up with the idea that he wanted to have a memorial. And him and Danny Thornsley and a few other guys in the club had went around and gotten donations just from the local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember them first hunts. You know, you'd win something in the raffle, and you might win a hat or an oil change, or those kind of things.
Yeah.
Whatever we could get from local businesses. But Dick and Danny Thornsley were like the two main people that headed that up and really got it started in the beginning. And I would have to go back and look, Alan, but something sticks with me that we had between like 50 and 70 dogs that first hunt. And like I said,
What year was that?
that would have been 2002.
Two.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks, Mom. That was 2002 that it started.
September.
So that was
actually
right that same
It
year
was
that he passed,
same-
right?
same
Actually,
year
it
he
was-
passed.
Actually, it was in August because the hunt was always in August back then. And we didn't actually move it till September and just until here a few years ago.
That's right.
And the reason we did that is because a lot of our public hunting is shut down during the month of August. It doesn't open up until September 1st.
Yeah.
So we kind of worked with you guys to get that moved into this weekend. And so, yeah, but it started off that way. And after about, I'm going to say maybe 3 years, those guys just got taxied to the point that hey, they were tired of going around and hitting businesses up. And they just kind of mentioned that, hey, they'd like to turn it over to somebody else. And then that's really when I got involved with it. And we started working with UKC and just started building it. And really it's come to what it is today.
Yeah. When did all the raffle stuff start?
Well, we've always had them raffles from the beginning.
So
They
just evolved from there.
Yeah,
Just got
they really
way bigger.
did.
Yeah.
They did. Well, we started getting the attendance. And as everything else, you get that attendance, you can start building even more.
Yeah.
So then we had we just got to the point where we had the light bulb go off and said, look, if we're going to go big, let's go big.
And you have. It's big.
I have to admit a couple things here, and I know it sounds like it that we all kind of lean on Dave for this event, and I'm being very honest. I plan on showing up Wednesday or Thursday and saying, Dave, what do you need? And I'll ask Dave that probably 100 times during the week. I'm sure I'm speaking for Danny and Mom both, because Dave has put his heart and soul into this hunt, and he's made it what it is today. We help out. We try to assist, but he'll be working Monday after this hunt for the next year. He's always done that. And we've been fortunate that we've been able to help him make his sprout. And but he might not want to take much credit, but he's our go-to person for this.
Yeah. So Veda, what did you? I know it's kind of Dave talked a little bit about the beginnings of it. Just had it at the Coshocton County Beagle Club and how it's grown. That's amazing.
Yes, it is. I'm very proud of how it's been going. I know after Dad passed, and Tess won the world, he said, even himself, he said, Dad was with me.
Yeah.
Dad was with me because Tess had stopped. And, she'd been running all day and suddenly a hawk flew over and squawked and she took off.
Yeah.
And that's what got the world.
Yeah.
Everybody said Dad was with you.
Yeah.
Up there in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had some beautiful dogs and everything just works together.
Yeah.
With the hunt, I'm really proud of everything that he's done. All of the boys.
Yeah.
We work together. We're a family.
Yeah.
We work together, try to pull together. So.
And that's very apparent, and that's good to see when you come to this event, how you guys are all a part of it. Your family is, and you're the ones doing all the work behind the scenes with all the raffles, and it's gotten so big. It takes a lot of work and kind of all day on a Saturday. Here we're recording this on Saturday morning of this event started on Thursday now. It's grown to that where you're starting on Thursday night. We'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, here in a little bit, you guys are going to be busy bees out there. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the hunt now. It's grown from that, and it's we call it one of the big five in UKC, one of the big five major events, and shoot, it is fast becoming one of the biggest events.
Yeah. This weekend has really been a huge shock, at least to me.
All of us.
And I think that, there's a lot of regressing just a moment, Alan, but
sure.
There's a lot of, I get a lot of credit for heading it up, but you can't do this hunt.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I can absolutely relate to that.
There's so many people that you got to rely on. Just give them a job and do it. And it's, I was telling Danny yesterday, we've done it so much, it almost becomes routine that, hey, repetitious. So with that being said, I mean, we've always been brought up, you get out of something what you put into it. And we've put a ton of effort into this hunt. And these folks, at the end of the day, this hunt's not big if they don't come. And at the end of the day, they have really blew me away this week. Our record for this hunt, if you're ready to go into that, our record for this hunt was last year with 419 entries. And we thought, wow, for the last few years, we've been right there. And prior to me saying this, it's never, ever been a competition, ever. And we don't want it to be. We look at it as we want to be in conjunction with the other big five hunts. We're just one of those big five. And over the last probably 5-6 years, we've gotten numbers to reflect that, hey, this deserves to be a big five hunt. And so we're very proud of that. And so last year we had 419 dogs, and with this morning's entry, we're at 425 dogs, and we have another round yet this evening. We could quite possibly exceed 500 dogs at this hunt this weekend. If you'd have told me that at the beginning of the week, I'd have said, I want some of what you got. So yeah, this is kind of a pleasant surprise. And I know that probably, I would say 70% of the people out there never got to meet our dad. But there's several out there that did too. And they know who he was and what he meant. And this is just a way for us to keep his memory alive. in a sport that he loves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So the other things, hunt numbers are good, like you mentioned. It's just crazy, and that's all good. The show is also a little different in different than any other UKC show. You kind of talked just briefly on that, how you have that set up. You have the Total Dog Award, which is, you guys talked about it. Your dad was big on that, the Total Dog.
Yeah, he was actually big when UKC set up that Total Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Back years ago, UKC had that Total Dog program.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really big, instrumental with that also back in the day. But we have what we call the Total Dog. And it's a dog that does the best in the field and show combined.
Mm-hmm.
Because really that's what our breeding program has always strived for, is, going back to that, costs the same to feed a pretty one as it does an ugly one. And when the people say, hey, papers or looks don't run a rabbit, why not? That was my dad's theory, is why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't it be? And so that's, what we always strive for. So that Total Dog aspect of this hunt is something that we will never turn loose, because that was his feelings, that he wanted that Total Dog. And that's kind of what Donnie, leading the Sundown breeding program, really strive for also.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the difference in our show. I think, maybe you can help me with this, but I think we tend to have one of the largest shows
You do.
of the year.
It is.
And we think a lot of that's for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and our Total Dog gets a free pass to the finals.
Yeah.
Or to the semifinals, and so that strives to get a few more show entries also.
Yeah, so let's talk about that format just a little bit. You have hour hunts here. You have had one Thursday night. That's been new now for the past couple of years now. You started on Thursday night. That's been very successful. All the dogs hunt together for one, regardless of category. So, and you basically now have 5 hunts. One Thursday night is hunt number 1. Friday AM and PM, that's 2 and 3, or 2 and 3 there. And then Saturday makes 4 and 5, 2 hunts on Saturday. So you have 5 hunts basically. And then the dogs that make it into the championship, you take 16 dogs to go to championship Sunday, right?
Correct.
And so explain how that works and who gets in and how
Sure.
they get in.
This year, we've always kind of done a little different, but this year we took the aspect that the highest scoring dog of each of those 5 hunts, they get a guaranteed pass to the semifinals.
Yep.
And then our Total Dog makes the 6th
We
dog.
hear traffic going by here. The road is right next to the building where we're recording, so hopefully it's not too much background noise. But this is a busy little town right here around the fairgrounds.
Hey, welcome to Coshocton,
Yeah.
So we take those 5 overall high-scoring dogs. Then we take our Total Dog entrant, makes 6. The remaining 10 positions, because we take 16 dogs, the remaining 10 positions are the dogs that have the most cast wins for the weekend.
Yeah.
So that kind of encourages you, if you win your cast, you better enter that dog again and try for another cast win and try to get into that finals.
Yeah, so there's different angles your hunters can take here, and I've heard it just yesterday I heard it, where this is also a last chance qualifier for the UKC World Championship. And you need a cast win here does qualify, and it's worked great to have that here. So there's that, so you might be going to try to get a dog in the championship, but there's different theories that come into play, which is kind of cool. I kind of like things like that. The point I'm getting at is, so yesterday somebody said, well, I got a cast win here. I really need to get another dog qualified, and I don't know if I want to go for, I really want to get another dog qualified. So there's different strategies that people, they make their own strategies here, what they're trying to accomplish here, whether it's getting several dogs qualified or getting that championship or what have you. But it's pretty neat.
Absolutely.
It's unique, different.
Well, we always look for those twists and turns to make it unique.
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to come up with new ways to make it a little different. And, going back to what Danny said earlier about the youth, how many youth we had up there at the First Strike signing up series. When you add in, and what has made this hunt really big also is UKC's participation in this. That we do have it as a world qualifier. It's a very unique qualifier. So that added on to the NHBA sectional series, that you have an opportunity to come here for this one weekend and participate in 5 hunts for NHBA sectional points, the youth series NHBA sectional points. And then you take and go one side further. Somebody from, in which we're seeing this year, we have several from different registries that have come in. And, Alan, we've competed for years, and you can go to another registry, and it's very easy to put a label on that registry based on 1 or maybe 2 casts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
No matter, and it's not down talking any one registry or another. It happens. We're human. Well, here you have the opportunity to really get a good idea if you run all 5 times. You'll have a good aspect of what it's about. And we're seeing that this weekend. That we've got a lot of different registries that, hey, they can spend the money to travel for this weekend, and they can possibly leave if they do really well. 5+ point cast wins, and they leave with their dog being, a title in UKC.
Yeah. And it's good. I love seeing folks come from other registries, and this is a good event to do that, because it's like you said, there's multiple hunts. You get a good, not just one, and they can kind of check the oil or test the waters, I guess, a little bit, and not just that, but it's hey, we have a strong there. I feel like our people that compete in UKC, a lot of us, we all know each other or what have you. And it's, for the most part, they're great people. But there's also great people that compete in other registries that we don't get to see like we do in ours. So it's good to have them here. And you get to know a lot of them. They're also great people.
Sure.
Fit right in pretty quickly, So
have you ever met a bad beagle?
Well, maybe. Yeah, but so hey, I don't want to take up. We could sit here and talk for a couple hours, but let's get into the raffle. What do you got on tap for the raffle tonight? That's got way big. You talked about the start up there at the first couple events. You talked about giving away feed and oil change, but I don't know if you're doing any oil changes giveaways this week or not.
No, it's kind of evolved a little bit. And
that would be a good thing. I need the oil change in my truck, by the way.
My
light's been on for too long.
I made the mistake about 5 years ago saying, you give me 5 years, we'll give away a truck. And some people have held me to that. And they remind me quite often. But, since then we've had COVID hit and a lot of different things that we've all had to overcome and whatnot. But this year we're giving away a Polaris 570 side-by-side.
I see that thing sitting out there. That's just amazing.
Somebody's going to walk away with that thing with a $1 purchase ticket. And it's, it's great. And so our raffle, all totaled for the weekend, we will be giving away, we have just crossed over $65,000 worth of prizes, raffle items, gifts, everything that we're going to be giving away this weekend. We just topped 65,000, and including the payouts for the finals and so forth like that. But as far as that raffle, and we know that raffle draws the crowd.
It does. It does.
You can lose. We told people all the time, you can lose in the hunt, win in the raffle when you win home or winner. Yeah. Or vice versa. So when we talk about what this hunt offers, it's got a lot of different dynamics. So we have all kinds of hunting gear in there. There's going to be 15 guns in the raffle tonight. 3 of those guns are $1,000 plus guns. So when you win in our raffle, we try to always make sure that the prizes are somewhat worth $100 or more.
Mm-hmm.
So
and there's a bunch of them out there that are way valued, way higher than that.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've got a couple gun safes. We've got an electric bike out there. We've got
dog boxes.
Dog boxes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And what's unique, and I catch some flack, even amongst my family a little bit about this raffle. But what's unique about our raffle is if you win, you get to go pick what you want.
Yeah.
If it was all about money, I would just say, hey, these are your items. These are the list.
Yeah.
And if you're the 5th ticket out, you get X.
Yeah.
If I did that, I could quadruple the amount of sales we have.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We want the people to be here. We want them to win. We want to see their face when they go up and get it. That's part of what we get out of it. And so yeah, tickets don't get sold until Friday morning of the hunt. We start selling the first ticket Friday morning. And
You got to be here. You got to come here to buy a ticket.
we literally call out a number. And if you have that number, you are sent back to pick whatever you want.
Yeah.
And
You can buy as many tickets as you want. Yeah.
Yeah. It keeps the ticket sales girls pretty busy. That's for sure.
It does.
But it's the beauty of it all. And when it all comes together, we walk away Sunday exhausted. But we pat ourselves on the back and say, we made it through another year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is our 19th year of holding the event. It's the 20th year since the first one. We lost 1 year through the COVID years there where we weren't allowed to assemble. But this is our 19th event. So, and yeah, we can walk around, and I know I, for one, walk around thinking, we've done him proud.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think unless you guys have something else, I want to kind of get it wrapped up here. And
there is one thing I
Sure.
want to say, Al.
Sure.
One thing about this hunt, you can see my dad, you can see Stacy, and you can see, what was the guy from Mike Ridenhour,
Yeah.
sitting on a bench, saying a joke, talking about the dogs.
Yeah.
That's all about my dad.
Yeah.
He loved the
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah. Well, we want to get this wrapped up. I know you guys got things going here, and but I really appreciate you taking the time here to sit down and really appreciate being a part of it here with UK. I'm the part of UKC, and you guys do such a fantastic event. But with that said, any final thoughts, Miss Veda? We'll let you close this out.
I'm so proud of all of it. If he always told the boys, you do your best. You don't have to do it over again. You do your best, and they have. They've stuck to his way of going through life. I'm real proud of him because he told them, you do this, you do that, you do it right. All that UKC's done through the past, very grateful, and I thank you. Because without you, we all need each other through this life. Thank you.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that sit down with the McVays, and you heard from Veda, their mother. She's very passionate about her family, as you can tell, and a lot of interesting things that they talked about. I've known a lot of their history from throughout the years, but it seems like each year when we sit down and talk with them, there's always something new you learn about them, and there's a few things like that. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did sitting down and talking to all of them. So as it turned out, they were ecstatic with the turnout they had this year. They had a grand total of 500 in total entries in the hunt. They had 5 hunts, as you heard Dave explain all that, how the hunt format was set up. But it's just a good way. And they've had a couple different formats, several formats throughout the years. The most, what they had the longest was a full elimination format. And that always worked well. Usually what they did, they had registered dogs to hunt one day, champions and grands on another day. And then they took X amount of dogs and put them in a semi-elimination format to hunt off on Sunday, I guess, so to speak. And in that format, they still had a large entry of usually around 350 to to 400 dogs in there somewhere, But the way they now set it up and allowing the same dog to be entered in multiple events or as many events as somebody wanted to, it did, in fact, allow the opportunity for more total entries, so to speak. So that's kind of the difference. So that's how they ended up with 508 total entries. But before, it was still a big event, and I think the hunters and everyone really enjoys the way this format was set up. It's very customer friendly, and you kind of decide what hunts you want to hunt in, what dogs you want to hunt in, and the hunters really like that. But in any event, a good number of entries is always good, but a quality event is more important. And I'm telling you, they seem to have plenty of guides, again, available for them this year and for each one of those 5 hunts. And very few casts did not have a total score of plus points. It was the weather. The weather, we got lucky, actually. The weather was pretty nice, really, considering the days leading up to this event. It was warm, too warm, really, to be hunting dogs out in it, but it cooled off nicely there. So the weather was nice. And it's like, talking about guys, it's like Dave has always been quick to say, that the locals from the Coshocton County Beagle Club always seem to be on board and help them make this all come together for the great cause that it is. So they also have a show that's held on Friday. And the one unique thing they have with this show is also a thing they call the total dog. And they have a point system that is set up for field and show both. So a dog that will get X amount of points for being a cast winner, and then also X amount of points for participating in the show. So they eventually, after the hunt and show are completed, they name a total dog winner, who that dog also receives a spot in the top 16 championship. So that's kind of a neat thing. And this year they had a grand total of 39 hounds that were entered in the show. But the overall winner of the show this year was a really, really nice female, a grand champion female, hunting beagle champion, grand champion, No Cures Angel Maker. She's a 3-year-old female that is owned and handled by Mike Higbee of Missouri. Just a very nice dog, ended up winning the whole show, the overall there. I mentioned the total dog, and the total dog winner, when the dust settled and everything after Saturday night's hunt, they could name that winner. And for the second year in a row here, it was Grand Hunting Beagle champion, second to none's No One's Patsy was the winner, the total dog winner, which gave her a spot in the championship, as I mentioned. That's a young 2-year-old female that is owned by Josh Byers of Missouri and was handled in the show and also then in the championship on Sunday by Brody Neff, who's just a youth handler. I'm not sure how old Brody is, but I'm going to guess he's around somewhere 13, 14 years old, maybe 15. But just a good young man, good young dog man, has been doing it for a little while now, and I know he likes his dog. He does an excellent job showing this dog and handling her as well. Matter of fact, he handled her on Saturday night and got a cast win with her on Saturday night as well in the field. So congratulations to Mike Higbee and also to Josh Byers and Brody Neff there with their nice dogs in the show. So I want to just mention the final 4 in Sunday's championship. And so the 4 dogs that ended up in won their first round cast in the top 16 were S&J's Undercover Boss. That's a 4-year-old male that's owned by Steve Ackerman and John Bassett of Ohio. They made it in the final cast and ended up placing second overall. Grand Hunting Beagle champion Sampson's 10-mile Blue Trixie, that's a 3-year-old female owned by Roy Sampson Sr. of West Virginia. They ended up placing third, and I can tell you Mr. Roy was excited to have Trixie make it all the way there to the finals. She's a nice little dog, has done quite a bit of winning here in the last several years, and Roy's had a lot of success with her, so he was really tickled. She ended up third. In fourth place this year was Hunting Beagle champion Ingram Stylish Blue Bayou. That's a 4-year-old female that's owned and handled by Tom Ingram of West Virginia, placed fourth. And then the winner was Hunting Beagle champion Woodlands Blazin' MJ. That's a 4-year-old female that is owned by Logan Hamilton and Victor, or Jake as most of us call him, Jake Cumberledge from, Jake is actually from Pennsylvania. but I guess Logan maybe lives in West Virginia, but he won the final cast there. And I can tell you, Victor or Jake here everybody likes Jake. And I don't know how many cast wins he had. I want to say he had 3 cast wins here to get him a spot secured in the top 16. Might have been 4. You can see those results, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But everyone's tickled to see Jake win this hunt. Just a great guy. Has been around for a good number of years. He's a ex-Marine. Just always he's just one of those positive guys. He's never caught up in anything. Everybody just likes Jake. So a good win for him with a nice little dog, and she is really cranking right now. And it's kind of a good time here just before the World Hunt. So we'll see how he does there. But we want to congratulate Jake and Logan on their big win here at a major event here with Hunting Beagle champion Woodlands Blazin' MJ. Nice job. The top 16 awards, they do have a purse for that. First place gets $800 plus all their entry fees that they accrued throughout the week. Throughout the weekend, they get that back, and that's for all of the top 16. Actually, get their entry fees paid back to them, in addition to the prize money for the top 4. So first place got $800. Second place was $500. Third place got $300, and then fourth place also got $200. So. But yeah, just a great hunt this year again. As always, I always enjoy this event, going to it, and just so much fun, and just it's a hunt, and it's a major hunt, but it's so much more than that. Like we said, or like I mentioned, it memorializes Mr. Don McVay, a senior, and then they have the raffles go with it. They have the nice show, just everything. It's just so much fun, just a great event. They do such a great job with it. But to see a list of all the cast winners in each of the 5 hunts, go to our website, UKC Forums, on the message boards, the Beagle message boards in this case, for a list of all those cast winners from each day. And then there'll also be a separate thread for the top 16 matchup on Sunday, as well as the results of those matchups, and also for all of the show winners. But again, I want to thank the McVays for another outstanding event, as well done by everybody, and already looking forward to the next one. Thanks for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops podcast. Be sure to give us a follow wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss out on new episodes.